Hello everyone and welcome back to Exam Ignite YouTube channel. This is 5th semester's Environmental Studies subject, Module 2. Let's go through the MCQs. The disasters can be broadly termed as two types. The annual flood peaks in the India are recorded in months of August-September. To measure flood variability, FFMI is widely used. FFMI stands for Flash Flood Magnitude Index. It is a standard deviation of logarithm to the base 10 to annual maximum series. Which of the below is an example of slow onset disaster drought? The first step in the preparedness planning is determination of objects. Tsunami detectors are placed in the sea at the 50 kilometers from shore. Bhopal gas disaster is a kind of man-made disaster. The National Disaster Management Authority is headed by the Prime Minister of India. Volcanoes are generally found where tectonic plates pull apart or are coming together. The volcanic eruption material, when inside the hill, earth, mountain, it is called magma. Which of the following is not a man-made hazard? It is drought. Cyclones occurred in the North Atlantic Ocean are called hurricanes. High intensity and long duration of rainfall in Tripura causes floods. Generally, the number of Richter scales ranges from 0 and 9. Disaster management includes all of the above: mitigation, reconstruction, rehabilitation. Tsunami can occur only during any time of the day or night. United Nations Disaster Management Team are responsible for solving the problems resulting from disaster in all continents. In India, National Institute of Disaster Management is located in New Delhi. The Disaster Management Act was made in 2005. Strip mining is a method of open casting mining with a high degree of mechanism. The mining is the process of extracting the ore or the economic mineral from the earth. High explosives used in the mining contains ammonium nitrate. Quarries are generally open pits. Quarries are used to extract building stones and rocks. When minerals are located too deep in the ground, the method used for mining is subsurface mining. Types of surface mining include all of them above: open pits only, surface coal mines only, quarries only. To remove large near surface deposits of economically important minerals such as gold and copper. The type of surface mining used is open pit mining. Mineral resources are non-renewable. The instrument which records earthquake waves is called seismograph. The Kyoto Protocol was adopted at the third conference of UNFCCC in 1997 in Japan. What is the process of utilizing natural resources without depleting them is sustainable management. What was the source of carbon credits for Chalbati village in Andhra Pradesh? It is Indian Beach. The concept of carbon credit is originated from the Kyoto Protocol. What is a carbon credit? It is a difference between the carbon emission allowed and the actual emitted carbon. Carbon trading deals with the carbon emission. Kyoto Protocol is to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. The carbon credit is representing the right to emit 1 ton of carbon dioxide. Groundwater characteristics must be monitored at least once in a till design space. Lead contaminant causes the kidney and liver problems if present in groundwater. Disaster management deals with the situation that occurs after the disaster. True. Tsunami detectors are placed in the sea 100 kilometers from the shore. So disasters can be broadly classified as two types. The annual flood peaks in India are recorded in the months of August and September. To measure the flood variability, FFMI is widely used. Which of the following below is an example of slow onset disaster is drought? The first step in preparedness planning is determination of objectives. Tsunami detectors are placed 50 kilometers from shore. Which of the following volcano is known for its destructive volcanic eruption in recorded history? Is Krakatoa. Then Bhopal gas disaster is a kind of man-made disaster. What is Ring of Fire? It is a belt of volcanoes in the Circum-Pacific region. Who is known as the father of modern seismology? It is R.D. Oldham. The National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) is headed by the Prime Minister of India. Volcanoes are generally found where tectonic plates pull apart or come together. That volcanic erupted material, when it is inside the hill, it is called as magma. Which of the following is not a man-made disaster? Drought. Cyclones occurring in the northern Atlantic Ocean are called hurricanes. High intensity and long duration rainfall in Tripura causes floods. So the Richter scale ranges from 0 to 9. Disaster management includes all of the above. Tsunami can only occur during any part of the day. Then United Nations Disaster Management Team are responsible for solving the problems related to disaster in Asia, Africa, and Australia. In India, National Institute of Disaster Management is located in Delhi, and the act was made in 2005. It is headed by the Prime Minister of India. Effective hazard management rely on the pre-disaster planning. Next is sustainable mining. Here, any adulterated elements leak into the ground, filtration, and are carried into the groundwater reservoir is known as water pollution. South Africa is leading exporter of which mineral? Gold. Which of the following option is correct when we only accomplish two out of the three pillars of the sustainable development? None of the above. The word sustainable development came into the existence in the year 1980. The United Nations Commissions on the Sustainable Development was started by the UN General Assembly in the year 1992. After mining the huge holes left behind used for the waste disposal, mercury and lead are the toxic elements which causes land contamination. The other word of landscaping is restoration. Whenever the price of the mineral remains high, the firm seeks for new deposits. Which of the following is not incorporated as a sustainable development parameter? It is none of the above. Drift mining is generally employed in the exploitation of copper ore. Horizon mining for coal winning is more suitable where the coal seams are found above the Earth's surface. Strip mining is a method of open cast mining where the high degree of mechanization. The mining is the process of extracting the ore or the economic mineral from the earth. High explosive contains ammonium nitrate. Quarries are generally open pits and they are used to extract building blocks and rocks. When minerals are located too deep in the ground, the method used for mining is subsurface mining. The types of surface mining include all of the above. To remove that large near surface deposits on the economically important minerals such as gold, copper, the type of surface mining used is open pit mining. Mineral resources are non-renewable. The instrument which records the earthquake waves is seismograph. Which of the following is a common chemical used in the cloud seeding? It is silver iodide. Which of the following is not a form of precipitation? Fog. The scientist who experimented cloud seeding for the first time is given. Then this was some of the things about the cloud seeding and what are the importance of that. Next comes carbon trading. Which of the following is not a greenhouse gas? It is water vapor. The Chevron Corporation has had to pay a huge fine for the oil pollution in the Ecuadorian rainforest. The declaration reached at the 16th Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention to the Climate Change (UNFCCC) in December 2010 is also called Cancun Agreement. The Kyoto Protocol was adopted at the third conference of UNFCCC in 1997 in Japan. The modern wind power industry began in the Denmark in the year 1979. What was the source of carbon credits for Chalbati village in Andhra Pradesh? It is Indian bees. The term Annexure 1 countries in the Kyoto Protocol refers to industrial and developed countries. Which company has the highest purpose of verified emission reduction in 2010? It is Tianping Auto Insurance Co. Limited. The concept of carbon credit originated from the Kyoto Protocol. What is that? It is a difference between the carbon emission allowed and the actual emitted carbon. Carbon trading leads to the carbon emission, and Kyoto Protocol is to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. The carbon credit is permit representing the right to emit 1 ton of carbon dioxide. Energy is released from the fossil fuels when they are burnt. Oil releases sulfur dioxide gas when they burn. True. The most nuclear fuel used in the world is uranium 235. In the production of wave energy, which form of energy you use? Kinetic energy. A tidal barrage is a barrier built over a river estuary. The hydroelectricity power is the potential energy is transferred to kinetic energy. Solar panels generate electricity. False. The plates in the wind turbines are connected to the nacelle in order to produce a solar energy during the sunlight. Where the energy is stored in the batteries in the nickel cadmium batteries. How many forms of fossil fuels are there? Three forms. According to WHO, how many premature deaths annually linked to the air pollution causing by burning of fossil fuels is 7 million. Energy in the form of heat and light is obtained by sun. SI unit of energy is joule. Trapped heat inside the earth is known as geothermal energy. The fossil fuels are rich in carbon and hydrogen. Thousands of mirrors or curved metals are used to focus the solar energy to make it very hot in the solar furnace. Loss of hydrogen atoms by an element is called oxidation. A fuel cell is used to convert the chemical energy into the electrical energy. Incorrect statement is noise levels of the fuel cells are high. The hydrogen oxygen fuel cell can produce drinking water of potable quality. Correct. Hydrogen oxygen fuel cells can produce drinking water of the potable quality because the residual product discharged by the hydrogen oxygen cell in water, which is in its purest form. Electrolytes conduct the electricity in the liquid state. What is the rate of solar energy reaching the Earth's surface is 1016 watts. What is the total amount of solar energy received by the Earth and the atmosphere is 3.8 into 1024 joules per year. Which is the most common source of energy from which the electricity is produced is coal. Oil is estimated to last for 100 years or more. In what form is the solar energy is radiated from the sun in the electromagnetic waves? Solar radiation which reaches the surface without scattering or absorbed is called beam radiation. The scattered solar radiation is called diffused radiation. Solar radiation received at the point of the earth is called an isolation. Isolation is less when the sun is low. Which of the following is a disadvantage of the most of the renewable energy resources is unreliable supply. Then photovoltaic energy is conversion of sunlight into the chemical energy. Horizontal axis and the vertical axis are the types of windmills. Which among the following is not an adverse environmental impact of the tidal power generation? None of the above. A fuel cell in order to produce electricity burns the hydrogen. Fuel cells are the hydrogen battery. Both the power and the manure is provided by the biogas plants. The outermost layer of the earth is called the crust. Common energy source in the Indian villages is the wood and animal dung. The ocean thermal energy conservation is uses the temperature difference. The byproduct of the ocean thermal energy conservation is cold water. In the ocean thermal energy conversion, the plant pumps the deep cold water and do not pump the surface water. The warm surface sea water is pumped through a heat exchanger to vaporize the fluids. Which country has the world's largest tidal power plant? Is South Korea. Which type of turbine is used in the tidal energy? It is Kalpan turbine. How is water trapped from the coastal waters? By building dams? Water to the turbine is allowed through the sluice gates. The tides are rhythmic and constant. No. False. The exactly how many time does it take one tidal cycle? One tidal cycle is 24 hours 15 minutes. What type of tide is it if the difference between the high and the low is greatest? It is a spring tide. A tide whose difference between the high and the low is least is called neap tide. What tides occur when there is so much interference with the continents? It is diurnal tide. What does heating and cooling of the atmosphere generates? It generates convection currents. How much is the energy available in the winds over the Earth's surface is estimated to be 1.6 into 107 megawatts. How much wind energy does India hold? It is 20,000 milliwatts. What is the main source of formation of wind? The sun. During the day, the air above the land heats up and more quickly than the air over the water. It is true. What happens when the land near the earth is equator is heated? Large atmospheric winds are created. What are used to turn the wind energy into the electrical energy? Turbine. At what range of the speed is the electricity from the wind turbine is generated? 30 to 35 mega mph. When did the development of wind power in India begin? In 1990. Next, which of the following supplies maximum amount of hydrogen gas? It is natural gas. In terms of greenhouse gas emission, how good or bad is a hydrogen fuel? It is zero emission fuel. Which of the following is an hydrogen has a fuel? The fuel cells. Which of the following is the most popular application of the hydrogen fuel cell? It is fuel cell spacecraft. How is hydrogen gas produced from the fossil fuels? By the partial oxidation of methane. What is a major drawback of the steam methane reforming technique to produce the hydrogen? It is releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. How does electrolysis produce hydrogen? By passing the electricity into the water and separate it into hydrogen and oxygen. Why is hydrogen hazardous as fuel? Because of the low ignition and the high combustion energy. Traditionally, why is the steam methane reforming preferred over Electrolysis, because electrolysis requires electricity. What is the main purpose in using the hydrogen as a fuel for vehicles? For storage. What is a fuel cell? Fuel cell is the one that converts chemical energy into electrical energy. How does the hydrogen fuel cell work? The recombination with the oxygen, then the electric current, membrane, then hydrogen ions. What does hydrogen fuel cell emit? It water. Fuel cell vehicle is sourced by a battery. False. High pressure containers are used to store the hydrogen. True. Which of the following energy has the greatest potential among all the sources of renewable energy? It is solar energy. What is the rate of solar energy reaching the earth? It is 1016 parts. What is the total amount of solar energy received by the earth and the atmosphere? It is 3.8 into 1024 joules per year. Which of the following is the most common source of energy from which electricity is produced? It is coal. Oil is estimated to last for 100 years more. Complete the reaction. H2O plus CO2 will form CH2O plus O2. In which form is the solar energy is radiated from the sun? By electromagnetic waves. What does MHD stands for? It is magnetohydrodynamic. Solar radiation which reaches the surface without scattering or absorbed is called the beam radiation. The scattered solar radiation is called the diffuse radiation. Solar radiation received at any point of the earth is called isolation. Isolation is less when the sun is low. HW stands for high level based. What is the unit of nuclear radiation? It is roentgen. What type of fuel is removed from the creator core after reaching end of the core life service? It is spent fuel. The ocean thermal conversion is uses the temperature difference. OTS is developed in 1880. The OTEC is constructed in 1926. The byproduct of the ocean thermal energy conversion is desalinated water. In the ocean thermal energy conversion, the plant pumps the deep cold water, seawater, and do not pump the surface seawater. False. How many types of OTEC plants are there? There are three types. Closed cycle systems use the fluid having low boiling points. Warm sea surface is pumped through a heat exchanger to vaporize the fluid. The heat exchanger condenses the vapor into a liquid which is recycled. Open cycle OTEC uses warm surface water directly to make electricity. In some cases, the steam drives the low pressure turbine attached to the electrical generator. Through the steam leaves salts, then the open cycle steam produces desalinated water. In dash method, the seawater enters a vacuum pump and the flush evaporated. It is hybrid OTEC. The OTEC is caused by the solar energy. What does OTEC stands for? It is Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion. Which country has the world's largest tidal power plant? It is South Korea. Which type of turbine is commonly used in the tidal energy? It is Kalman turbine. How is the water trapped from the coastal waters? By building dams. Water to turbine is allowed through the gates. Then tides are rhythmic and constant. False. For exactly how much time is required for one tidal energy? 24 hours, 50 minutes. What type of tide is there a difference? If there is a difference between high and low tide, it is spring tide. If the difference is low, then it is neap tide. Which of the turbine can be mounted vertically and horizontally? It is Gorlov turbine. What types of tides occur when there is so much of interference with the continents? It is Deliran tide. What does heating and cooling of the atmospheric generates? Convection currents. How much is the energy available in the winds over the Earth's surface is estimated to be? It is 1.6 into 107 megawatts. How much wind power does India hold? 20,000. What is the main source of formation of wind? It is sun. Which country created the windmills? It is Iran. During the day, the air above the land heats up more quickly than the air below the air over the water. True. What happens when the land near the Earth equator is heated? It is large atmospheric winds are created. What type of energy is wind energy? It is renewable energy. What are used to turn the wind energy into electrical energy? Turbines. The diameter of the wind turbine blades is 220 feet. At what range of the speed is the electricity from the wind turbine is generated? It is 30 to 35 mph. When did the development of wind power in India begin? In 1990. The disaster classified into two types. The annual flood peaks in India is recorded in the month of August and September. Uttarakhand lies in the region of core of earthquake-prone zone. To measure the flood viability, FFMI is widely used. The disaster management deals with the situation that occurs after the disaster falls. How many elements of the disaster management are there? 6. Which of the following below is an example of slow onset disaster? Drought. How many phases of disaster response are there? We are having 5 phases. The first step in preparedness planning is determination of strategy. Tsunami detectors are placed in the sea at 50 kilometers from shore. Carbon footprints can be measured by a carbon accounting. A legally binding agreement between two or more nations relating to the environment is MEA. Agenda 21 is a program run by the UN related to sustainable development. For a gold LED certificate, how many points are required? It is 60 to 79. Which of the following is a green building in India that has received a platinum LED certificate? It is Sulon 1 Earth in Pune. Water is a conventional source for tidal power. The first academic publication about the ecological footprints was in 1992. Which of the following below is a global scale environmental issue? Climate change. Carbon can stored in organic matter in the form of biomass. The miracle material that can turn the CO2 into a liquid fuel is the graphene. Then acid rains are produced by the excess NO2 and SO2 for burning fossil fuels. Greenhouse effect is warning due to increase in the temperature due to the increase in the carbon dioxide concentration of the atmosphere. Next, which of the following is a renewable energy source? Among the following is wind. OTEC stands for Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion. Solar energy is derived from the sun. Hydrogen energy is considered clean because it produces only water vapor. Tidal energy depends on moon's gravitational pull. Sustainable mining means extracting and rehabilitating areas. Disaster management includes prevention, preparedness, and recovery. Carbon trading includes buying and selling the carbon emission credits. Wind energy is converted into the electrical energy. Solar energy converts the light into the electricity. The natural resources that can be classified as renewable and non-renewable. Sustainable resources aims to balance use and conservation. The wind energy uses turbine motion by water flow, hydro. The case study in the disaster management helps us to predict the future events, improve the planning, train the responders. Carbon trading helps in reducing the greenhouse gas emission. Hydrogen is considered as the cleanest fuel because it produces only water when it is burned. Which renewable resource is available day and night? It is the renewable is available day and night. It is geothermal. Which of the following is an example of renewable energy? It is coal. Carbon footprints refers to amount of greenhouse gas emitted by a person or organization. Which sector consumes the largest amount of natural resources globally is industry. What is the primary advantage of hydrogen as a source of energy? It is abundant and produces only water when it is used in fuel cells. Which process is commonly used to produce the hydrogen from water? Electrolysis. Which type of hydrogen is considered the cleanest and the most sustainable is green hydrogen? What is the primary byproduct when the hydrogen is used in the fuel cell? It is water vapor. The blue hydrogen, it is hydrogen produced by the fossil fuels due to the carbon capture and the storage technology. Which sector is seen as one of the most promising for the hydrogen energy application is transportation. Hydrogen plant power are located in the highly terrains. Which device is used to convert the sunlight into directly into electricity is solar photovoltaic cells. What is the main advantage of solar cells over the fossil fuels? It generates electricity without emitting greenhouse gas. What is the main component used in the most solar photovoltaic panels? Is silicon. Which country is the world's leader in the solar energy? China. Which type of energy conversion occurs in the solar photovoltaic system? Light to electrical energy. What does OTEC stands for? Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion. OTEC generates electricity by using the temperature difference, the ocean surface water and the deep water. The OTEC technology is most suitable for the implementation of tropical regions. It is primary byproduct of this is fresh water to desalination. What is one of the key challenges of OTEC technology is low efficiency due to small temperature differences between the surface and deep water. Which of the following is a type of OTC system? All of the above. Which country has conducted a significant research and development in this technology? Japan. What is a tidal energy? Energy generated by the movement of tides. What causes tidal energy to be produced? The gravitational pull of the moon and the sun on the Earth's ocean. Which of the following technologies is primarily used to harness the tidal energy? Is tidal barrages. Which of the following is a type of tidal energy system? It is stream generators. Tidal barrages generate electricity by utilizing the difference in the water levels between the high and the low tides. Which country is known for having one of the largest tidal power station in India? It is France. How does tidal energy differ from wave energy? Because tidal energy relies on the movement of the tides caused with a gravitational force, while wave energy relies on the wind generated surface waves. What is the main environmental benefit of wind energy? It is the renewable source of energy with no greenhouse gas emission. Which country leads the world is installed wind energy capacity as per the recent years? It's China. Two main types of wind turbines is horizontal and vertical. Where are offshore wind farms typically located? In large bodies of the water like oceans or seas. The International Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction established by the United Nations is known as India Framework, which disaster management principle focuses on involving local communities in the disaster preparedness. It is bottom-up approach. What is the primary goal of the sustainable mining? Mining the environmental impact. Which certification is commonly associated with the sustainable mining practice? ISO 14001. What is the purpose of environmental impact assessments? EIA of mining. It is to evaluate the potential environmental effects of mining activities. Which mining method is generally considered more sustainable due to lower environmental impact? It is underground mining. Which technology is commonly used to reduce the water consumption in mining operation? Is hydrocyclones. What is carbon trading? It is a method of buying and selling the carbon dioxide emission. Which of the following is a key purpose of carbon trading? It is to reduce the greenhouse gas. What is a carbon credit? It is a permit to emit 1 ton of carbon dioxide or equivalent gases. Which of the following is a carbon trading system? CRI2 protocol. What is the carbon offset? Offsetting, it is reducing emissions in one area to compensate for emission elsewhere. Which of the following activities can generate carbon credits? Afforestation and reforestation. Which of the following is common method used in the CCS? Carbon capture and storage is direct air capture. What is a carbon mining primarily concerned with? Mining of carbon rich minerals like coal. Then Chernobyl nuclear disaster occurred in the year 1986. Bhopal gas tragedy occurred due to the leakage of methyl isocyanate. Minmate disease is caused by mercury. When the Disaster Management Authority formed in 2005, the scientific study of earthquake is called as seismology. So this was all about the module 2. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe to Exam Ignite YouTube channel. See you in the next video.